Hi everyone. Welcome to our revamped now affiliated members series. So last week we have had an introduction again to our medical series with Dr. Bhuvash Pandav. He's from India and he was discussing about the mass nesting events of olive ridleys in that region. So continuing in the same kind of theme, moving on to introducing rescue centers that also work with olive ridleys, we are now with Dr. Daniela Caballero. She's from Atoll Marine Centre, and we're going to be discussing today about like how her center operates, what cases they see, etc. If you do have questions, I know this is recorded, but feel free to pop a comment on the YouTube comment section or Facebook, and we'll try to get back to you. Otherwise, you can always visit Atoll Marine Centre's website, which is atollmarincenter.com. You can correct me if it's not com.
Okay.
All right. Because I was not sure if my Wi-Fi now was
Yeah, it's
working.
.com.
Apology, exactly. And then you can also see everything that they're doing aside from what Dr. Daniela is going to explain today, including their Instagram, because they're very active on it. So, Dr. Daniela, do you want to let us know, aside from your name, who are you? What's the name of the organization? Where are you based at? And what's your role in it?
All right, of course. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, as you said, my name is Daniela. the veterinarian at Atoll Marine Centre. We call it AMC for short. This center is one of the projects of a local Maldivian NGO called Naifaru Juvenile, and we're based in Naifaru Island in Laviani Atoll, a local island here in the Maldives. Yeah.
That's nice. And so in Naifaru in the Maldives, is that center of the country, north, south? And how do you get animals to come to you?
It's towards the north. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. How long has the center been operating for?
So the center was open in 2012, but its initial focus was rehabilitating sea turtle hatchlings that were like commonly kept as pets. But we believe that thanks to our outreach efforts, cases of illegal pet trade have been declining over time. Like, for example, in 2015, we admitted 36 hatchlings due to illegal pet trade, while this year so far only four. Um, but reports of turtles being victims of other human-related threats, particularly entanglement in marine debris, remain frequent. So in late 2016, we admitted our first adult turtle, an olive ridley victim of entanglement. And since then, we have expanded our efforts to rescue and rehabilitate also juvenile and adult sea turtles victims of other threats, being entanglement in marine debris the most prevalent one.
Thank you. Because I know that those kind of two affections that you've mentioned between the hatchlings and entanglements, we're talking about two different species, right? So what kind of sea turtle species you are working mostly with there?
So yeah, mostly olive ridleys as adults and juveniles. And as I say, sadly, we still admit hatchlings, and most of the times are green sea turtles. We do get hawksbills, but it's less frequent, both as hatchlings and also as juvenile of subadults. But yeah, it's like the species that we see less from those three. Yeah.
And I know you've touched on how many
Yeah.
hatchlings you've seen now, but in general, how many cases do you see per year? Or how many turtles in general can you take in a year?
Yeah, like it fluctuates a lot, like especially because of the hatchling admissions. So in a year we might have just three hatchlings, and in another year 39. So it changed the like overall number. But if we exclude the hatchlings, over the past 5 years, we have been admitting around 7 or 8 juvenile or adult turtles per year. Yeah.
Okay. And can you house them all at the same time, these seven patients, or how many tanks do you have to accommodate animals?
Yeah, so like our current maximum capacity, we will say, is 8 adult turtles. We're planning to build one more tank soon, which can be divided to provide like 2 additional spaces. When we have hatchlings, we kept them in separate tubs, and in most cases, they are released as soon as possible. And we also have like our floating marine center that is a sea cage that we use for turtles in like their final stage of rehabilitation. It helps them get used again to currents, waves, and like the ocean life, but in a semi-controlled environment. and that sea cage will give us like 5 extra spaces. But yeah, I will say our maximum capacity is 8 turtles at the same
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
that's a good point about that. You mentioned the floating marine center because on the photos that we'll have and we'll share with the viewers, we do see those marine cages in that bay. Did that come like later on in the development of the rescue center? Have you always had that like, and how is that improved or not, like your management of these patients?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly when the first sea cage that we had was like installed, but we have had it for a couple years, even like since the beginning when they were working mostly with hatchling and post hatchlings, they used to trial them in that sea cage before releasing. Um, but the one that we have right now, it's just a couple years old. It's the one that I said that there's 5 spaces. And it's been very helpful in several situations. We have had patients that are doing very well. We know they're able to dive, but they haven't been resting on the bottom. And after being just for a while in the sea cage, they start resting on the bottom. Like I feel that maybe being in the ocean like reminds them how to be a turtle. So yeah, it's been very helpful. Yeah.
Okay, great. And I know we've already touched a little bit with the hatchlings and the entanglements, but can you just combine like what are the most common injuries or illnesses that you treat at the rescue center?
Yeah, so yeah, it's basically that. Like, sadly, illegal pet trade is still the most common reason for admission, even though like it's less frequent. If the hatchling is healthy and it was kept in salt water, it's released as soon as possible. But sadly, it's not the most common scenario. Sometimes they have been kept in fresh water for several weeks. So we do what we call saltwater therapy before releasing them. So we gradually increase the salinity until they reach 35 part per thousand. That is the salinity around here. Is quite salty, and they are released when they reach that, and we are like know that they're acting and behaving normally in that salinity. But the second most common reason of admission is entanglement in marine debris. More most often is ghost nets, but also ropes, pieces of like cement bags that fall apart on fishing lines. Currently, we are caring for 5 olive ridleys, and all of them are missing at least one flipper, and 4 of them have buoyancy syndrome. Other common reasons for admissions are foreign body ingestion, watercraft strikes, um, but even turtles admitted for these other reasons tend to have entanglement injuries too. So it's very common.
And now you were mentioning because you see such different life stages. How do you get these animals to arrive to your center, given the Maldives are so many islands spread across such a wide geography area? Like, how do you get them to arrive to you?
Oh, it's a long process. Like it depends. Like the latest admissions have been, well, no. The latest one, it was a whole journey for that turtle. Like from the resort she was rescued, they had to put her on a seaplane to Male. And then there in Male at the airport, we have to ask for help for different airlines and stuff to help us then move the turtle from that seaplane to a domestic plane. So she could arrive to our domestic airport nearby. And then we went on a speedboat to rescue her. Yeah, but before her, the last two were from this atoll and quite nearby. With one of them, it was like a resort with some guests on an excursion. So we just like talked with the captain and went with our boat to their boat and just passed the turtle. And yeah, so, but usually, yes, it's a whole long process.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always a mammoth effort. And I guess for those of you who don't remember, back 2 years ago, we had an interview with Minnie. She was working for the Olive Ridley Project at the time, which is also another NGO that works in the Maldives. And I guess it's interesting to have these different NGOs, AMC, Marine Savers, Olive Ridley Project, to work together and kind of check with each other, like, where is this turtle at? Can you take this animal? Can you help me manage the movement of this other patient? And it's a whole ordeal, but it makes it fun after the stressful part is done.
Yeah.
But definitely takes a while to adjust when you first arrive to the Maldives, like to learn all those pathways.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, like now that you mention it, like Marine Savers does have a base very near the airport in Male. So it has happened before that we get the turtle to go to Male, but it cannot fly to us until the next day. So Marine Savers has helped us like picking up the turtle and like having it overnight. So yeah, it's definitely a team effort. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all there for the same, aren't we? So how is the veterinary care managed at your center? Are you the only person responsible for it? Do you have assistants, volunteers? How does it work?
Well, so yeah, like although AMC have been open since 2012, our first veterinarian only joined until around like 2019, 2020. And like since then, the veterinary care has improved significantly, though there's still a lot to develop. But like in the year and a half that I've been here, I have seen major progress. Yeah, I currently the only veterinarian here at AMC and also on the entire island. So yeah, like I'm in charge of the admission, as we say, arranging their transfer to our facilities, the physical examination, and developing and implementing a treatment, and for these turtles, monitoring their process, their diet, things like that. And also, other than turtles, being the only veterinarian on the island, I also offer care to local pets, and we have a trap, neuter, and return program to control the overpopulation of stray cats here on the island.
Yeah, that sounds like you're keeping yourself quite busy. And for the rescue center itself, do you also have helpers that assist you, cleaning the tanks, feeding the animals, etc., or is there one band team?
Yeah, no. We are a small team. Um, there's a marine team lead, a marine biologist, a marine biology assistant. We have some also marine biology interns. But even though we're a small team, we rely a lot in international volunteers that they come here and they support the center financially because like they pay a fee to come and work with us, but also on our daily husbandry routines. And uh, they get the experience of working with the turtles and learning about them and stuff like that. But yeah, we couldn't function without these volunteers for sure.
I guess it does help that you're based in a beautiful paradise and everyone also wants to have the experience of living in the Maldives for a little bit. So what facilities or equipment do you have access there for all the animals between the turtles and the domestics?
Yeah, like we have a small clinic. We are in plans of expanding. Last year, we acquired our own X-ray machine, which was a big improvement and made things way easier. We do have an ultrasound, a centrifuge. We have a blood chemistry machine, a microscope. We do have an autoclave, so we can sterilize all our instruments and stuff. So yeah, we are definitely growing and I'm very happy about having access to all of these things that I know that the vets before me didn't.
Yeah, you're becoming a lot more self-sufficient, right? It feels good when you're able to actually practice medicine because sometimes you're just a bit tied up with the resources. So that's completely fair.
Yeah.
Does your center carry out any research as well at the moment?
Mm, we do collect a lot of data, not specifically about sea turtles. We do like different surveys on a reef and on our beach. We have data on the amount of like type of trash that washes up to our beach every week. We do like a beach survey weekly, and we also do surveys on our seagrass meadows. And yeah, we're now like working on processing all that data and information that we have gathered. Yeah.
So you're learning a lot about the sea turtles' habitat. Um,
Yeah.
okay, great. And do you know how, and I guess obviously I know it will depend not only on the life stage, but also what their illness was kind of, but how long in average do your patients tend to stay in rehab for?
Oh, that's a great question. Like, it's hard to tell, especially because we had sadly some like long-term patients that have been here for years. So like they will make the average time very long, but also we have the hashlings that we release the next day or that same day that will like reduce it. Um, I do feel that I could say that in a Yeah, like generally speaking of a turtle that came with an entanglement wound and some buoyancy syndrome, but it's overcoming it fast. Around maybe 6 months, I will say, yeah. But it's hard to tell. It changes a lot. Like even with the same species coming for this exact same reason, it's very hard to tell.
But overall, we know that it's going to be always taking, except for the baby hatchlings, will always take months, right? These reptiles do take a while
Oh yeah,
to
yeah,
respond and to
exactly.
progress from it. Although
Yeah,
they do
like
heal beautiful.
yeah. No, they are amazing, but yeah, you have to be very patient. Like I will say that the fastest one was 3 months. That's the fastest one that we were able to release. Yeah.
Okay. So what are the main goals or the objectives of the NGO that you're working for? Because I know that being based on a local island compared to, for example, the Olive Ridley project being based on the resort offers you a very different kind of scope of opportunities. Can you talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, like that's true. Like we have four main goals. The first one, as you know, is sea turtle rescue and rehabilitation. As I mentioned before, we aim to expand, to build new tanks, to establish like a fully equipped veterinary clinic. We do some coral gardening that we also hope that it to develop it into a full like coral restoration project in the future. And yeah, as you said, like being based on a local island makes community outreach a key priority for us. We currently teach marine science lessons to ninth grade students in two different schools, and we're working in adding a third one. We organize marine holiday camps with the children from Naifaru from the island, and we frequently do school visits to do some outreach, additional like outreach sessions. Um, Tourists also visit our center through some resort partnerships. They come and they receive like an educational talk about sea turtles, about their threats, about like what they can do to help, and then they tour our facilities. And we also like train resort staff and boat crews on like sea turtle rescue procedures, code of conduct, swimming with turtles and other megafauna, and other topics too, like nesting or turtle biology. One of our biggest like outreach initiatives is the Laviani Turtle Festival. It was held just this past week. It brings together schools from different atolls, NGOs, resorts, and organizations across the whole Maldives to promote sea turtle conservation and a healthy marine environment. It has a strong focus in the community, in community involvement and environmental education. And our fourth goal is protecting Naifaru and its surrounding islands. So we do frequent beach cleanups, we place bins to encourage like proper waste disposal, and we promote recycling and sustainable waste management on the island.
Yeah, you do keep busy. And for those of you that haven't had the chance, that you could do go on AMC's Instagram page, you can actually see how the whole festival went, which was this past weekend, and it looked incredible. There was really large enterprise to make it happen and have all these people combine in a small island and do all of that. It looked incredible. So congratulations for that work. Um,
Yeah, no, thank you.
And so I guess segue from that is like how can members of that community, of the Maldivian community, contribute to sea turtle conservation? Like what would you think that you can get them involved as?
It's amazing when we can see everyone coming together as we saw like last past weekend. There's like many ways the local community can help, can contribute, and I do think that the most important one is spreading awareness and sharing knowledge, and that's also why events like this are so important. Sometimes we like get people that come to surrender the hashlings that they were keeping as pets, and they said like, oh, it was actually my neighbor or my friend who told me that this was wrong. Yeah. So like that person who told this person that this was wrong is like giving this little hashling a chance. So it also applies, for example, with uh, turtle and eggs consumption. Like because here in the Maldives is blessed with such abundant like turtle population. Like even declining, like if you go on a snorkel here on our house reef is will be weird not to see a sea turtle. So some people just don't believe they are in danger. So it's raising awareness is essential. It's very important. Um, Another thing how the community can help, and it's also encouraged during this festival because we do like a plastic collection competition and also other competitions that uh, try to promote like upcycling and reusing some materials. It might sound cliche, but reduce, reuse, and recycle waste management is a serious issue here in the Maldives. And as I already said, we often get turtles entangled in marine debris or suffering from plastic ingestion. So being like conscious about like what you're using and how are you disposing it is gonna be like very helpful. Um, yeah, and another way that the community can help is like we also offer internships for like young locals that they can come to our center, and this provides them like a valuable opportunity to start their marine biology career. But even if that's not what they want, I feel that also these internships help them develop skills like public speaking or leadership or data management, things that might be useful even if they want to like follow other paths. So yeah.
Very true. Now I'm just interested if you could, I know it might be tricky to choose one, but if you could briefly share one of your most interesting, successful, maybe not so successful, but that has been rewarding case that you've had during your year and a half that you've been in the Maldives.
Ooh, I think it's very hard, as you say, to pick one. Like, I feel that I have learned something from each patient I have had. Um, but I will say, like, in general, we get a lot of turtles with buoyancy syndrome, and like treating them, as we already said, requires a lot of patience. So just seeing them starting to dive again, I think that's one of the best feelings in the world. So yeah, after seeing them struggling for months, and sometimes it's just like something clicked and they start diving. Like it happened with one of the turtles that we had one of our staff feeding her with tongs, and by mistake he dropped the food, and the turtle just dove down and took the food. And she didn't die for 6 months, and then out of nowhere she did that. So yeah, that's just
Yeah,
like
with
a
these
great
olive
feeling.
Ridleys, there's a lot of this behavioral modeling that needs to happen, right? Like sometimes they're buoyant and you've already healed everything physiology wise that you have to
Yeah.
heal, but it's the behavior that needs to be still trained. And yeah, for sure, I do share that sentiment of all of a sudden somebody says, "Why is that turtle resting on the bottom?" And you're like, wait, what? The turtle
Yeah.
that has never seen the bottom in months.
Yeah. Yeah, so I feel like all of those cases of buoyant turtles that sometimes something clicks inside of them and they start diving again. Yeah, that will be like that's very rewarding. Um, and yeah, and I feel like, as I already mentioned, in general, seeing the decline in the number of hatchlings that are admitted due to illegal pet trade, it's also like very rewarding because I think it's showing that our outreach efforts are having a positive impact.
Yeah, let's hope. Let's hope for sure that
Yeah.
that's the case. That that people are learning from each other and learning from you guys as well. Do you have any favorite fact about sea turtle that you'd like to share, or like what inspired you to work with sea turtles?
Ooh, well, so there's many things I love about sea turtles. And one of the things is that, yeah, like they have been part of this world holding the ocean together for over 100 million years. And as a veterinarian, and especially like I always work with wildlife, I have had the chance to like treat a wide range of animals, but never before encountering sea turtles, I had care for a patient that was older than me. It's not as common for a veterinarian to have patients older than them in comparison to like a human doctor. And it's weird, but I find it like fascinating. Like it's humbling to think that the animal that I'm helping has already lived for decades, and my work might give it a chance to live for many more decades once it is released. Um, so yeah, like that's one thing. The other thing is that like they are very unique animals, even compared to other reptiles or other turtles. They are something completely different. And I'm naturally a very curious person, so working with very different and remarkable creatures is challenging, but it's also like fulfilling. And but yeah, like if you ask me what inspired me the most to work with sea turtles in particular, like being completely honest, more than just the animals, the community of people dedicated to their conservation. After attending my first International Sea Turtle Symposium, I was moved with like by how supportive and generous like the turtle community is. It's always willing to share knowledge and help each other. And like I feel like this is something reflected with initiatives like this, like the Sea Turtle Rescue Alliance. Like since I began working with sea turtles, I have never once like reached out to an expert for help or advice, and they have been like, "Oh no, no, like I'm not gonna tell you, I'm not gonna help you." No, like I love that we all share the same ultimate goal to help the sea turtles, and we help each other to succeed in that mission. So that's like one of the things that inspire me the most.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that because it's exactly, well, ending on that note is exactly what we aim also to get with Sea Turtle Rescue Alliance was a bit of connecting even further because the sea turtle world was a lot only initially by almost like ecologists, biologists, and veterinarians are not very much involved in the beginning. And now, as we're getting more into the field, we also want to connect these rescue centers because sometimes an ailment that you're seeing in a turtle in the Maldives can be the same as someone in French Polynesia or in Ecuador, and then you can just share knowledge or your experience. Discuss difficult cases and sometimes just also just not feel so alone because you for example are alone in that island as the only veterinarian, and at least if you have somebody on the back that can support you through it, it also helps to gain more confidence in like your skills and be, wanting to
Yeah.
train and practice on it. So that's definitely the goal. And Atoll Marine Centre has been a partner with us since 2022, and we're very grateful to have you guys also on board. We hope that today everyone else was able to meet a little bit more about the work that Atoll Marine Centre is doing and that Dr. Daniela has been doing for the past year and a half as well. I really thank you, Daniela, for joining us today. We will be posting this pretty soon. I'm just gonna put it up today as it's our Turtle Tuesday. So the idea is now every month we're going to be having a different rescue center to be introduced. But we thought September would be a good time to start with the Indian Ocean, and then we'll move around. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have the rest of a lovely day, and
Yeah, no,
good
thank
luck
you.
with your work.
Thank you very much. And thank you, yeah, for the invitation. And we are great to be part of like this alliance. And we are also very grateful for like this initiative. We really value like your efforts to trying to connect this community even further. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. If any of you is interested in either having a rescue center featured or becoming a member, if you're not already, please visit citralrescuealliance.org, and in the membership, you can find all the details there. Thank you so much. Bye.